This time, the Globe and Mail is reporting that a CSIS intelligence report shows the Chinese consulate in Vancouver allegedly meddled in the 2022 municipal election in that city, as you heard Anne reference a few minutes ago, allegedly working against incumbent Kennedy Stewart, who went on to lose that vote to Ken Smith. And the former mayor is with us now. Hi, Mr. Stewart. Good to see you.
Hi, nice to see you too.
I appreciate you making the time. I read in the Globe that you were briefed in May of 2022 by CSIS about possible foreign interference attempts. What can you share with Canadians watching tonight about the nature of that briefing?
Well, there's two things I know about this emerging story. First, unusually, I was briefed by CSIS in May. My chief of staff, Neil Monkton, and I were briefed. It was a very lengthy briefing, which involved a senior CSIS official and a specialist on the Chinese government. They walked us through a bunch of information of what foreign interference looks like, but then had a whole range of questions for us on topics. Wondering what we knew about things that were happening on the ground. And, I got to say, I was a busy mayor at that point, getting ready for an election, so I don't know how useful I was to them. But I did ask them why they were briefing me and why they were taking the time to do this. And they said that, well, because there was information that they had that wasn't getting through to upper levels, and they thought it was important that people knew what was happening, or at least had some sense that something was happening.
So when they said upper levels, did they mean to other levels of government?
I don't know. When you ask these questions, they don't tend to answer you back. So, that's where it is. But the second amount of information came from my discussions with the Globe and Mail, both editorial team and reporters, where they told me about the documents that they had received from CSIS and seen. And so initially I talked to them off the record, but then thought it was important enough for me to go on the record for this report today.
When CSIS originally told you about, briefed you about what they thought was happening, were you surprised at all?
I've been around politics a long time, and I know there's lots of rumors about things, and then I know things happen. But the electoral oversight that we have at the federal level is pretty good. Like Elections Canada, because I've been through 2 federal elections and 2 nominations, and I know that your financial reports are audited. There's a lot of scrutiny. There's less at the provincial level, and there's basically none at the local level. And so, like we didn't even have election expense controls until 2018 here. So, I think there probably is, if there was an easy way into influencing Canadian government, I think municipalities are one way to do it, as are nominations that are overseen by parties. So I do think that if China is interfering, or other countries are interfering, municipalities are a very easy target. And you have an election coming up in Toronto. That's very important. That should be a focus of some attention, I would think.
Did you have any suspicions prior to that briefing or throughout the campaign that followed that you were a target, or that there was something amiss?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so, the local consul general, Chinese consul general, was openly hostile toward me, publishing stuff in local papers, making comments, mainly because of my position on Taiwan. And so this wasn't a secret to me, but I was warned by a number of colleagues, folks that had run before, that the consul general was very angry with me, and was going to do what they could to, make sure I wasn't reelected. But those are conversations. And then what do you do with that kind of information? Like, I can't call the chief electoral officer of the city, because that's our clerk. I can't call Elections BC because they have no oversight in this. I can't call Elections Canada because they don't do anything with local elections. I can't call the Vancouver Police Department because, they're connected to this, right? Police can't investigate their own municipalities, essentially. So there was really nowhere for me to go with this information.
So the fact that you had no recourse, and then, all these months later, you start reading about other allegations about other levels of government. What did you start thinking when that stuff started coming out?
Well, it didn't surprise me at all. I mean, I'm now back at Simon Fraser University at the School of Public Policy. I write about democracy. I have for decades. I've always been deeply concerned about elections, usually about domestic shenanigans. But, foreign stuff there's always been rumors of it happening, but the information that seems to be in the CSIS documents is putting a lot more meat on the bones, and that doesn't surprise me, but it really concerns me.
Do you think, and it sounds, I think I can guess the answer based on what you've talked about here, but do you think if there is an inquiry or some mechanism of an investigation into these allegations, that it should include municipal elections? And if there are recommendations made to prevent this type of thing in the future, should that also include municipal elections?
Yeah, I would think, especially in big Canadian cities. I mean, you think like we control the zoning of trillions of dollars worth of real estate. We are briefed by federal and provincial ministers when they're developing legislation. I chaired the Vancouver Police Vancouver Police Board, which is privy to all kinds of confidential information that we cannot disclose to anybody. Like if you had folks inside those organizations, whether because they're compromised through getting favors that they shouldn't have got, or are sympathetic to the Chinese government, then that means you've got folks inside your government apparatus who are willing partners with the Chinese government, and that is very serious. If this was happening in the U.S., if the New York Times had a headline saying the Chinese government interfered with the city of New York's election, the FBI and others would be all over this, and we're really naive about what kind of target we are. And I do hope that, I think the Governor General was a great choice as a special rapporteur. I think that was the right approach, but we need some quick responses now from him in terms of what the scope of this inquiry will look like.
Okay, Mr. Stewart, I'll leave it there. I appreciate you sharing some of your time with us this evening.
Thank you.